السلام عليكم طلاب اللغة الانكليزية، المرحلة الثانية من مادة الشعر. اليوم راح نتكلم ونحلل قصيدة الشاعر جون دون، القصيدة Death Be Not Proud. طبعا هاي القصيدة جدا مهمة وتعتبر من الشعر الميتافيزيقي. راح نتكلم عنها. بالبداية راح نقرأ النص مال القصيدة. Death be not proud by John Donne. Death be not proud, though some have they, mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thou think'st thou dost overthrow, die not. Poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me, for rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be. Much pleasure then from thee, much more must flow, and soonest or best men with thee do go. Rest for their bones and soil's delivery, men, and dust with poison, war, and sickness dwell, and puppy or charms can make us sleep as well, and better than they struck. Why swell'st thou then? One short sleep past, we wake eternally. One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death thou shalt die. Yes, students, this is very important poem in metaphysical poetry. This kind of poetry talks about religion, about life and death, something like this. Now we are going to explain the poem. Actually, the poet here give us a clear image that death is not strong, is weak, is very weak. But some people feel fear about death. So in this poem we have two kind of believers. One of them now and believe in God, and they do God deed. These believers do not fear from death because they are pure, they are clean. Yes, of course, when man is clean and pure from mistakes, he didn't fear from death because he didn't make mistakes. So these believers do not make mistakes in their life, so they consider death as a pleasure and sleep. They go to sleep, not die, because after death they wake eternally. They will live forever. Yes, they live forever. The other kind of believers, as we say, we have two kind of believers. The other kind of believers know the God. Yes, they know the God, but not believe. Yes, not believe in God. They do bad deeds. Actually, they make mistakes. They make problems in their life. Actually, they feel fear from death. Yes, they think when they died, they feel fear from death because they make mistakes. In this poem, the poet describes the death in a variety. In a very good way. That the death is weak, as I mentioned, not horror as people think. The poet warns death against pride, in his power. Such power is merely illusion, and the end death thinks it brings to men and women is in fact a rest from world awareness for its alleged victims. The poet criticizes death as a slave to other forces, fate, chance, kings, and desperate men. Death is not in control, for a variety of other powers exercise their volition in taking lives. Even in the rest, it brings death in inferior to drugs. Finally, the poet predicts the end of death itself, stating, "Death, thou shalt die." Yes, we know, and we notice this in the last two lines in the poem. We can go to the last two lines. One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death who shall die. Yes, and this, dear students, these two, the last. The last second lines in this poem is very, very important. Yes, this line actually is very important. When the poet say, "One short sleep past, we wake eternally." That means we are not go to die. We are after we death, we wake eternally. We will still live forever, because we are not far from death. Death is something is very weak, as I mentioned. And the last line, and death shall be no more. Death thou shalt die. Yes, actually, here, as if he talks with death, that death is die. Death is die, actually, because when we wake eternally, and the final of living, we wake eternally. After we death, the death is die, actually, is vanish. So here we have a theme. Actually, the theme of this poem is that powerlessness of death. Yes, powerlessness of death, according to John Donne. Death is weak. Death is very weak, as the poet mentioned in this poem. So we mustn't fear from death, because if we make good deed, we go eternally, and we don't fear from death, because we are pure and clean from mistakes. So this is the theme, actually, powerlessness of death. Death is not strong; it's very weak. Okay, dear students.